Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Manic Monday edition of The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the left coast behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all knew, I do not do this program by my lonesome.
That's right. I do my best to assist. I'm coming to you from the East Coast, the coast with the most. My name is Mike Porsky. And Craig, to you today, sir, I wish you a happy Columbus Day.
Columbus Day. Oh, so we're not calling it Indigenous Peoples Day?
I'm sorry, what nonsense did you just speak from your mouth?
Oh, Indigenous Peoples Day. That's what the politically correct term is we're supposed to be using nowadays.
I thought that was some sort of a joke meme thing that was on my computer today. Is that
Didn't
a
you
real
know?
thing?
Didn't you know? In 1492, the indigenous people sailed the ocean blue.
I believe they actually were just at the shoreline and went, "Hey, Christopher, how's it going? Hey, you." That's how they received him. Listen, I'm all for if the indigenous peoples. By the way, indigenous peoples has been ruled by the military to be a derogatory term, and even the military doesn't use that term anymore. It's We used to call them IPs. When you went to a foreign country, you called them indigenous personnel, and it was determined to be derogatory. So I guess the woke people didn't get that memo, but
Oh, because now the military tells us what's woke and what's
exactly
what's
right.
not.
Yeah, listen, it's right with my necklace full of ears that I got over in Afghanistan. That's evidently acceptable now, though. Well, if I on Halloween time, but anyway, different story,
That
different
descended
story.
south really fast.
The Listen, I mean, if we're gonna celebrate Native Americans, or if they want to call them indigenous personnel, that's fine. Let's do that. Let's have that celebration. Let's have the honor those peoples. But today is a celebration of the discovery of our great country, and it's a great day for Americans and Italian Americans alike. So happy Columbus Day to you.
And it is well received. Happy Columbus Day to yourself.
Very good. So, very
Do
good.
anything
So,
special over the weekend?
let's see. What did I do? I actually did not much of anything on Sunday, and Saturday was a full work day. Other than that, no, nothing like crazy. Didn't go out and conquer any new lands or anything like that, as if that's what you mean. So,
No. I wound up camping with a number of good friends over the weekend. Introduced them to Benchmark 8, which was a lot of fun. But had a good time.
there you
Just chilled.
go. Yeah.
Spent most of yesterday kind of recovering, shall we say.
So too much working out. Had to let the
Too much
let
working
the
out.
acid burn off. Gotcha.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Lactic
It's
acid on the
funny
muscles.
because
Yeah.
camping can be both relaxing, but then when you get home, you realize you probably didn't relax as much as you should have. So you have to kind of recover from your recovery.
Listen, I say this to a lot of people, including people that I live with. If you have to relax and take time off when you get home from a vacation, then you're vacationing wrong. You're not doing it the right way. You're not doing it the right way. The idea to go on a vacation is to come back and go, "Ugh, man, I've got to get back to work. I haven't done anything. That's what a vacation should be. So
Well, some people go and they relax, and some people go and they do a bunch of stuff. It's fun
yeah,
stuff, and you enjoy
that's
doing
called
this
work.
stuff, and stuff you normally don't get to do. But
That's
it is still nonetheless it still nonetheless can be tiring. I think you got to have a good mix, in my opinion.
right. The mix should be when you get home, you go, oh, I'm well rested and ready to go back to work.
Some people vacation differently.
Yeah, that's like I said, they're doing it wrong. They can enjoy Indigenous Personnel Day then.
All right, well, let's go ahead. Let's get into today's stories. All right, folks. All right, here's item number one. Now, you guys know, and we've had this conversation about COVID-19, about natural immunity here on the program, for the longest time. We know, and there's been enough studies that will demonstrate that natural immunity, there is such thing as a natural immunity that comes from actually getting COVID-19. Well, more and more, what you're starting to see is individuals challenging some of these vaccine mandates by noting that they've already got natural immunity because they've already had COVID-19. In this particular case, an individual in Michigan, basically their doctor told them after two different antibodies tests, said, "Look, you have plenty of antibodies." Their doctor actually told them not to get the vaccine. And so they didn't get the vaccine, and now they're in danger of losing their job because they're actually following a medical professional's direction when it comes to whether or not to get the vaccine. And it is one of the most frustrating things to see about this whole conversation is that no one really wants to talk about natural immunity from having had COVID. I don't understand that, Mike. How do we completely and utterly ignore it when we also know that studies have shown that it is as good, if not better, than being vaccinated?
Because Craig, it's not about the science. That's why it's about the politics of this. This story comes out of Michigan State University. Go Spartans! Craig, you know what the mascot's name is there? You know the mascot's nickname is there up in.
I have
Michigan
no idea.
State? It's Sparty. Sparty the Spartan.
Why did I not? I could have guessed that.
Sparty. It could only be better if it was like Sparty McSpartan pants or something like that.
McSpartan pants. There you go.
It is Sparty. Anyway, the young woman there that filed the suit, that's Gina Norris. She's one of the employees there at Michigan State. Like you said, she's had the COVID, right? She's twice had the antibodies test. Twice her doctor said, you have the antibodies. You beat the COVID. You were not one of those ones hit hard. Your antibodies are now stronger than any of the vaccines that are out there. I do not recommend you get this whatsoever. You're just going to end up sick. You're going to end up one of those people that are, weak and lethargic for the next 6 months because you've got a low level fight going on in your body. Don't get it. Well, her employer said, hey, you get it or you're gone as of, I think it was August 31st. So she filed suit. And this Judge Paul Maloney, a Bush appointee, it doesn't say which Bush, says, no, sorry, that doesn't count. You have got to get it based on Jacobson versus Massachusetts 1905, which said that states have the right to require vaccinations. Now, Craig, here's what I think. Listen, legal precedents are very, very important when they're set. We use legal precedents in the Second Amendment that go back, 150 years. Many lawyers will use them for that length of time without any issues at all. However, when you start using a 1905 case because of its medical value, I think it's time to stop and take note over a medical decision that was made 116 years ago before we use that in a legal decision.
Well, I think that when you do something, so for example, when the ruling is as obvious as mandating like bloodletting with leeches,
yes,
I think then you start to realize, maybe it's time we updated this precedent.
Yeah. Let me be clear on this for folks. 116 years ago, there was no surgery.
No.
Okay. You had he got a bullet in his leg. Let's see if we can yank it out with these pair of pliers. If not, we'll cut the whole limb off.
Right.
There was no surgery. Okay.
There's no anesthetic.
Dentists were your surgeons back then.
Right.
Okay. That just so you're getting an idea of what the medicine was like in 1905. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and once again, though, Ben, I think you hit the nail on the head initially when you talked about it's about the politics, because here's someone who followed the science.
Yep.
Someone who followed medical professional advice. I mean, what do we tell folks? Look, study and research for yourself. Get the data. Look at the information. Go to the medical professionals that you trust. And that's exactly what this individual did.
Yep.
And now they're being told, nope, that's not enough. You're going to get fired. Well, What's the goal? Is the goal to make sure that everyone gets jabbed? Or is the goal to make sure that people are safe from the vaccine? I mean, safe from COVID?
Compliance and control. That's what it is, Craig. It has nothing to do with the safety of people. We're seeing now that the COVID's effectively gone, right? The D variant is swept through and it's gone out in Alaska now. But you know what, Craig? There's going to be another variant that comes through, and it's just going to be every 6 months when we get the new flavor of the flu. It's going to be called the COVID, because guess what, folks? Flu epidemic. The flu is a type of COVID. All right.
Right.
It is. Go ahead, Craig.
You did hear what Moderna's working on, right? The Flovid shot.
The Flovid.
The Flovid. So you get your flu and your COVID shot all in one. It's called the Flovid.
Yep. This is they are these immune deficiency viruses. They're all the same. COVID-19. Guess what? It wasn't the first one. You know which one it
No.
was? If it was Glock, it'd be pretty easy to figure out. It would have been the 19th one, and that's exactly what it is. It was first identified in 2019. So, yeah, absolutely crazy. It's hard to fathom that you have a judge that's sitting there going, this was the best science available 116 years ago. I'm going to go with that.
Yeah.
What? What? You can't. All right, let's go back like you said, Craig. Let's go back 50 years before that, when bloodletting was okay. When
Right.
leeches were used leeches are used now for a way to stimulate blood in dead tissue, but it was used to be used as a way to get the demons out of you.
You got bad blood. You got bad blood. We got to get that blood out of you.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're gonna love this one because once again, all I gotta say is California. California has now passed a law that basically says it is illegal to remove a condom during sex without the permission of your sexual partner. And I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is that they're going for with this particular law. What massive crime is it that what blight on humanity is that they're exactly trying to stop with this particular law?
Well, I mean, in the times of COVID, perhaps people want to have intimacy, but they don't want to have the actual exchange of bodily, I'm not going any further. I'm not going any further than that. Maybe they just put your full body suit on and then we'll have snuggles over here, and then but you got to keep the condom on because I don't want you to really touch me. So it's just this basically sounds like any agreement that would happen in California, Craig. I mean, this is the kind of stuff we expect coming from you people out there. What
do you mean, you people?
You Californians is what I mean.
Okay. All right. We got to clear that up. We can't have no John Gruden comments on here.
No. Yeah. You know what? How about a sidebar on that real quick? The NFL's trying to figure out if they could punish him at all when he wasn't even working for them at the time. Can we punish him? He wasn't working for us though. I don't know. We should still suspend him.
That is not stopping anyone from doing any of the stupid stuff that they're doing right now.
Yeah. Exactly. So. All right, back to the condom story here.
But by the way, I would just say this: the comments that he made, while they can be definitely be taken as racially disparaging, if a black player had made them, nobody, or a black coach or commentator, nobody would have anything to say about it.
Yeah, and listen to what. No, listen. I'm not going to defend anybody from football because football is pretty ridiculous, but from what I know of Chucky as a coach over here when he was with Tampa, it was the ability for him to become basically one of the players as the coach and get that bond with everybody. Now I don't know his methodology of how he did it or what his methods of leadership it is, but I'm not going to question it. I have yet to hear him speak, so there's no decision from me on any of this. It was just a quick little joke to throw in here. But back to the condom story, Craig. It's already enough that you have to get written consent to have sex with somebody in California. Now they're saying that to get the condom off, you must get at least verbal consent. So does that mean you have to have like the court reporter in the room with you when this thing is going on? I know you got to have the notary to get started, but now you got to have the court reporter in there in case. Your Honor, can I get a ruling? She said yes. She said yes. He said yes.
Or please let the record show that sexual intercourse has ceased. Thus, I am not required to get permission to remove the condom.
That's right. And but she's there going, no, it hasn't ceased. You better get back over here and do more. So.
Yeah. Does it have to be mutually agreed that it has ended?
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Because it seems to be different for one than the other.
Look, folks, we apologize. We realize that this is a family show, but this is the stupid stuff that comes out of California. And just so you know. There are plenty of people from California that are I was about to say infecting, but are coming to your states. This is the sort of stuff. Now, Now, don't be totally mean to them because many of them are running from stuff like this. But understand that not all of them are running from stuff like this. Many of them just can't afford to live the American dream in California anymore. So they're coming there and they have yet to put together the connection between the idiots that they put in office and why they had to leave California. Identify those folks, re-educate them, or tell them they need to keep moving, keep stepping on. Maybe send them up to New York or someplace, but don't let them stay in your state if they don't get that.
This law, as ridiculous as it is, there was actually another portion of this law that what did sound pretty good. The In California, Craig, I guess it was not a rape if you were married to the victim.
Yes.
In California, one of the few states that still had that law on the books, so they corrected that. Now, obviously, I don't care if your marriage is perfect or if you're in the middle of a 3-year separation. If there's a aggressive sexual act on a woman, and she says no, then it's no. That's all there is to
No
it. Marriage
means no. Yep. No, you're
marriage
right. You're
had
right.
nothing to do with it. So they changed that, which is actually good to hear. But Craig, just one more add to the ridiculousness of this. The people that brought up these issues and had been fighting for them were the erotic service providers legal educational research product. If I went to anybody, Craig, and said the name of my volunteer help organization is the Erotic Service Providers, I would have been laughed out of the room. I mean, can you people please figure out a better name for your organizations before you go asking for money? Hi, I'm with the Erotic Service Providers. Yeah. Well, what's your hourly rate?
These are basically these are the these are the hookers. It's pretty much
exactly right.
This is the hookers
Erotic
union,
service providers.
I don't know.
Right?
I mean, and I think what they're aiming at here is like for people who are working in the sex industry, they want to make it so that they want to protect the people working in the sex industry because otherwise it would be an unhealthy mode of trying to earn a living.
Wear a mask. Just wear a mask.
Just wear a mask. Take the jab. Wear a mask, and it'll all be good. You don't need anything else, right?
Masks solve everything. Just wear the mask.
They do. They most definitely do. Okay, moving right along, folks. Every time, for each story that we do, right? Today, I'm like, it cannot get any weirder. Well, guess what? It's getting weirder. So, I am a big fan of Dave Chappelle, and I'm a fan of Dave Chappelle for one primary reason. He says what he thinks, bitch. Right? He is hilarious, and he goes after everybody. In his new special, he goes after black people. He goes after white people. He goes after Republicans. He goes after Democrats. He goes after Asians. He goes after gay. He goes after trans. And here's the thing. There used to be a time in comedy when all that really mattered was, are you funny? Right? People weren't just politically mean. Their goal was to be funny. And in this particular special, he makes cracks about a whole bunch of different people. And guess what? He's funny. Well, there's a ton of backlash right now. And you've got people all over the place saying that he should be canceled, that he should be, the special should be pulled down and all of this stuff. And you even have the folks over at NPR accusing Dave Chappelle. Now, for those of you who do not know, despite his French last name, Dave Chappelle is black. And now he's being accused of exercising white privilege in his comments and his comedy about gay and trans people.
Dave Chappelle is being accused of white privilege. Dave Chappelle, black Dave Chappelle, African American, native African American of the United States, black skin Dave Chappelle is being accused of white privilege. This author over there at the NPR needs to be taken out back and beaten to within a half life of existence. All right, we need to these are the idiots why this is even out there. This is why this is even an issue. Craig, we heard this when he had his last special, Sticks and Stones, came out, and he had made some LGBT comments, and they were damn hilarious. And but he did it in such a way as to explain the culture without being hateful. All right, and everybody seems to forget that. They heard, "Oh my God, he told an LBGT joke. He must be anti-gay." Not the case at all. This special, the closer, I think it is. He comes out and clarifies what he says. Listen, I'm going to make LGBTQ jokes, but just know the jokes are not meant to be mean and hateful to you. It's to show that we have commonalities in our problems in society. You know, he gets out there and he explains the jokes. And he says, if you're one of these people that come at me and say that I'm mean and hateful, then you're the idiot. Then you can't stop. If you can't stop to look at a joke and tell what the intent was, then perhaps you shouldn't be looking at comedy at all anymore. I've said to you this, Craig, the past 2 years or so with him, is that Dave Chappelle, 10, 20, 100 years from now, whatever it is going to be one of the heroes that took us out of this woke bullshit. He is going to be one of the ones, and it's going to be comedians like him, and Louis C.K. and others out there, Bill Barr, that are pushing back. Dave happened to be the funniest and most popular of them. That it's going to get rid of this nonsense. So it's absolutely ludicrous to even start, though, by saying Black Dave Chappelle is using white privilege.
Well, there is a movement where they try to say that straight black males are the white men of black people. Literally, it's but see, undermine once again, behind all the wokeness is believe it or not, there is a movement, and it's a movement to literally tear down and redefine all of the institutions that we have in society. That includes our government, that includes our education system, that includes our history, that includes the tradition, the traditional family. All of these things are all targets. And the reason in particular why they're going after black males is because many, in particular successful black males, are recognizing the importance of, the family. If you want to take a look at some of the challenges being faced in the black community, much of it, at the root of it, is the broken family, the lack of fathers in the home. And as people are trying to fix that, or people are trying to talk about that and make that a bigger thing, well, they're now trying to destroy the family. And if there's one group of people who can look and say, yeah, that's a problem, no, we can't have that, it's black folks. Blacks are like, look, no, we see what fatherlessness does and the impact of it in our community. It has been on the black community. We don't want that to be something that is perpetuated. And so that's why they come down on in particular straight black males, because we're like, no, we ain't having it. You look at Black Lives Matter, it's run by, for the most part, lesbians. Black lesbians who are more interested in gay, transgendered lesbian stuff than they're interested in actually, black lives. And that's a major concern because, once again, they're trying to tear down every single institution that we have. And I appreciate comedians are going to be the last line of defense when it comes to the First Amendment. They're the ones who get us to look at ourselves and in humor, be able to take a look at, maybe this is something we ought to fix or change or take care of, or at least take a look at. But they do it in a way by utilizing humor to disarm people. And I just think that going after comedians is a bad way. You had Kevin Hart, who basically, all he wanted to do was host was it the Emmys or the Oscars?
The Oscars,
and
yeah.
He got booted because of a joke he said something like 10, 15 years ago, when, by the way, everybody was doing those jokes.
Yep.
And by the way, they were funny.
Yeah,
Which,
it's like,
by the way,
I think Dave Chappelle said it. He said Kevin Hart was 3 tweets away from hosting the Oscars.
Yes. I don't know. It's just that sort of stuff. It's like, I'm sorry, but you can't get mad at comedians for telling jokes.
No.
You can't. You don't have to like the joke.
Yeah.
Right? You don't have to listen to the joke, but you can't get mad at comedians for telling jokes. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's amazing because I'll go back and I'll watch like old Law and Order episodes, like from the early 90s when they started. The old Jerry Orbach and George DeZunza when they were on there, and and some of the words that they would drop on there would just allowed by the television people back in the day. And now the words that you can say on TV are not those words anymore. So you'll hear them blank certain words. The censors blank certain words out, and you're like, why did they blank that word out? It's just because we're changing, Craig. Because
Right.
now certain words are not acceptable that were acceptable back then. But we could say you could say one or two swear words an episode back then.
Right.
So those are fine. We could do those all day long. But God forbid you say it was some gay dude, and then they beep that out. You can't even say gay dude anymore on an old
Right.
90s TV show.
Right. Well, by the way, talking about the sponsors, let's get on to our next topic, because this was the ultimate. It wasn't even necessarily a sponsor. I mean, not a sponsor, a censor. It wasn't even necessarily a censor.
It's like, what are you talking about? Our sponsors are not gay. What's it's crazy.
I'm sorry, talking about our non. Well, we don't. I don't know. I don't presume to assume their gender identities or their sexual preferences. So I'm not going to go there.
No, I'm not going any further with it because I got jokes ready, but I'm not going to get Dave Chappelle today. So
Okay, yeah, there you go, there you go. But let's go, Brandon. Now, here's where this came from. So this was at it was at a NASCAR race, right, Mike?
yeah, this would have been a NASCAR race where Brandon, what was his name? Brandon Brown, right? Brandon
Yeah.
Brown won. I think that was his name. Brown? Yeah, Brandon Brown.
Yeah, so he won the race. And so in the background, you guys know at sporting events and now all of a sudden at other events, including NASCAR events, there's been a chant in the back. Basically, it's
about Joe Biden's brother. They like him. It's Frank.
yes, it's about his brother Frank. It's about his brother Frank. Anyway, but it's this chant that goes on now that and so the announcer, or not the announcer, the commentator.
Joe Biden.
Right,
Joe
Biden. Except they weren't saying F.
They weren't saying F.
They were not saying
Joe
F.
Biden. Exactly
Right. They were saying more like his Uncle Buck.
That's it. Yeah, exactly right. Yep.
Buck Joe Biden.
Yeah, there you go. Yep.
So anyway, so the announcer is talking with him, is interviewing him, and says, "Oh, they're saying, let's go, Brandon."
It's amazing. I mean, because you could hear the crowd. F Joe
NBC
Biden.
News, yeah.
F Joe Biden. And people are clearly becoming a little nervous, about it being on air.
Yeah.
And this reporter Kelly Stavist with NBC, she goes, and you can hear the chants of "Let's go, Brandon! Let's go, Brandon!" And I think everybody was like, "Huh? What? What did she say?" And it's just, I don't think she had any idea. Anybody else had any idea? But it has caught on, and "Let's Go, Brandon" has become pretty viral.
Oh, it is all. There are memes all over the place of "Let's go, Brandon."
Yep.
So now, just so that we know, just so you know, if you're watching an event and you hear someone say "Let's go, Brandon," you know exactly what it is that they're saying.
Yeah. It's amazing. I've seen the hashtags for Brandon is the man. Way to go, Brandon. Everybody's just now they're all sorts of loving Brandon. It's pretty funny.
But here's the thing. Now, part of it is it's a cultural thing, and a lot of people don't even know why they're saying the F Joe Biden thing, and they're like, it's a cool thing to say.
Yeah.
But there are a number of people who are just angry and upset, and like I said, when you have commentators on the liberal left wing morning shows all saying, yeah, they've just never seen a presidency start off this bad ever.
Yep.
You know things have gone south for President Biden.
And listen, and I lived through Carter. That's hard to say. Okay?
Yes.
I'm just
Carter
saying,
was a disaster. It's amazing. I think the reason why the Lord has allowed him to live so long is so that he could try and repair his reputation. He's more popular as a former president than he ever was as president.
Listen, he has actually been a very good emissary and dignitary traveling the world for peace and other things. He's actually done a really good job at that. And I believe you're right. It was so the good Lord was giving him a chance to save his name. so they didn't burn down his peanut farm, that kind of nonsense. Yeah, this whole the Brandon thing is just it's hilarious, Craig. And every time I see, I was in the parking lot last week in Daytona Beach, Florida. As just a random Walgreens, stopped in to get some drinks, and as I'm walking through the parking lot, and I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt and some sandals. I got my truck. There's no distinguishing marks on my truck at all. As I'm walking through the parking lot, some guy on the other end yells, F Joe Biden. And I was like, and I'm like, is that for me or just in general? And I was, and he was just saying it. I'm like, yeah, let's go, Brandon. And it just out of nowhere. It's great. It's a bonding thing, I guess.
Well, yeah, the mainstream media is the only one who doesn't get
NASCAR, it. So it is Daytona is the headquarters of NASCAR. So maybe that's why it was going on.
Maybe there you go. That's exactly probably why it is. All right, let's move on to our parting shot. You want to explain it? Lay the foundation for this one first, and then we'll go ahead and we'll share it.
Okay, I just don't remember which one it is.
The Homer Simpson one.
Oh, okay, all right. Recently, we've seen, there's been a couple of shootings down there in Australia. If you've been paying attention to any of the news, and it's been very well hidden by the U.S. media, Australia had a shooting 25 years ago now, and they decided the way to control anybody being shot with a firearm was to take all the firearms away, because clearly it was the firearms' fault, not the individual's fault. So they had sweeping gun confiscation, or as they called it, buyback. But guess what, Craig? You can't buy back anything you don't want to sell. So, but they came through with their confiscation, gave out some coupons, so you could go to the store and get you some new shoes or whatever it was, and so they got rid of the majority of what we would call modern sporting weapons. What was left down there were some personal protection handguns for security and police, and then some hunting rifles, because you actually can go hunting in most of Australia. But they got rid of all the modern sporting stuff. So, it was confiscation at its finest. Well, there was another shooting down there in the Australian continent there, and it was again. They said, "Well, it's time to take more guns. We're going to go back and take what we said we never were going to take from you." Well, in Australia, they said, "All right, you could come get them. You can come get them." They're pretty much. It's kind of calmed down in the past week or two, but over the past 6 weeks or so, Craig, the powder keg has been lit, and they have not come to the doors to take the firearms. But the majority of Australians were like, "All right, we're about to do this. We're about to do this. You're about to come take our guns, and we're about to stop you from taking our guns by any means necessary."
Well, yeah, and keeping in mind that there are mass protests where basically the police are trying to shut down both the media coverage of it, and they're beating down. I mean, it is literally, because you have a disarmed citizenry there in Florida. I mean, not in Florida, in Australia.
Well, let's be clear. They don't have AR rifles. They don't have Ruger Mini 14s. What they do have is Grandpa's hunting rifle and Grandpa's shotguns. Because they did not have to give those up, because those were hunting items. So guess what? Now they're standing there with their hunting guns going, "You're not getting it. You're not getting it."
Nope. And that leads us to, there we go. Are more accurate. Australia is proof that gun control works exactly as intended. See, because the whole idea behind gun control, folks, is that they disarm the citizenry. First, they take your guns. Then they take your property, then they take your rights, and if you refuse in any of those, they take your life.
It's the way it works. Remember, Fred, it's because the Australians gave up. Here was the deal: give us these modern sporting stuff, and then we're going to register everything else so we know where it is, so nobody will ever be in harm's way ever again. Now here you are 25 years later. Hey, remember when we made you register your stuff and you had to register transfers? Well, now we're coming to your door for them.
Because we know where they are.
Yep.
I mean, and folks, understand, that's the reason why you get so many people fighting against a registry. Or in particular, when you get people who are opposed to background checks, it's because most of the time background checks are not background checks. It's a registry. They want to register who bought guns, what guns they bought, and who's got them, so that when the time comes that they can come confiscate those firearms, they know exactly where to go. If it were like, if I honestly believe if it were like, okay, well, here's your name, your number. Is this person okay to buy a firearm? Yay or nay? And that was it. You got the thumbs up. You go buy your firearm. I think people would have less of an issue with background checks. Although the problem is, as we all know, the background checks don't work because criminals generally don't go to gun stores to buy their guns.
Exactly right, Craig. You know what? And I don't want to get into this too much. A couple seconds here, but if background checks worked the way the no-fly list worked, I don't think people would oppose it. If folks, when you go to get on an airplane, they don't run a background check to you to see if you're a terrorist. What they do is go to the master no-fly list, and they run your name against that list. And if your name's not on the list, you get to fly. They could do the same thing with the no-buy list. You run your name against the master no-buy list. If it's not on there, you get your firearm. At the same time, no registry is kept. No piece of paper is kept that says you were checked out today. That person would just get an access number for the day, and the files would be kept in the system, put away. There'd be no master. There'd be no transmitting of your name to the government.
Right. Well, but here's here's what I will say is the only problem with whether it's no-fly list, because we have something similar called the Armed Prohibited Persons List in California.
Right.
The problem is that whenever you have government doing things like this, invariably the databases are going to be wrong.
Well, and sure, yeah, but I'd rather there be a minor error in a database than a national registry. You know what? And we, Craig, I 100% agree with you, though. Yeah. We put easy provisions in there to get that taken care of.
You can know if your name is on the list or not on the list. Yes. You can know how to get your name off the list if it's not supposed to be. And that's the problem, with the no-fly list is nobody tells you how your name got on there, and nobody tells you how you get your name off.
Well, exactly, because that's our secret government doing that. You know,
right.
The DHS. Patriot Act.
Bob in his mom's basement is who it is. Types out of 10.
Yeah.
Oh, Mikey, how about giving a shout out to our sponsors before we cut out here today?
Yeah, as far as we know, not gay, like Craig said earlier. So let's be sure about that. The Gorilla Machining, our good friends at Gorilla Machining, and our good friends at Grid Defense. To thank them again for being part of the program.
Also want to make sure to thank the folks over at the California Republican Assembly. Make sure to visit all of our sponsors. All of their links are in the description to this video. Make sure to visit them and make sure you tell them that the folks over at The Rundown sent you.
Happy Columbus Day.
See you guys tomorrow.